Well, a very good evening and thank you for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Ashmat Kumar and here are the headlines that we're tracking at this hour. Global stock markets decline a day after US Federal Reserve stuck to the script and hiked rates by 25 basis points. Fed signals it could possibly pause the rate hikes. European central banks also raised rates by 25 basis points, says the inflation outlook continues to be too high for too long. National Company Law Tribunal reserves its order on the petition from Go First seeking protection under an interim moratorium. Aircraft lessors raise objections to Go First's plea. The cash-strapped airline scraps flights till the 9th of May, and the DGCA orders full refund to all passengers. India's largest mortgage lender, HDFC, beats estimates in Q4. Asset quality is best in over 4 years. Net interest margins are at a 7-quarter high. Also declares an interim dividend of 44 rupees per share. Hero MotoCorp beats estimates on all parameters in the fourth quarter. Operating margins rise to 13% and revenue jumps by 12% year-on-year to over 8,300 crore rupees. Volumes also surge on a yearly basis. Shareholders and creditors of Reliance Industries approved the demerger of financial services arm. The Demerge unit will be listed on stock exchanges as Jio Financial Services. Macquarie expects a 1.5 lakh crore rupee valuation, making it the 5th largest financial services company in India. Wrestlers allege they were assaulted by drunk policemen last night for wanting to bring folded beds to the protest site. Delhi police dismisses allegations that cops were drunk, says no force was used against the protesters. The Supreme Court closes proceedings in the matter, says the FIR against Brij Bhushan Singh has already been registered. Foreign ministers in Goa for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meet. Minister Jaishankar holds talks with the Russian and Chinese counterparts. Bilawal Bhutto becomes the first Pakistani foreign minister to visit India since 2011.
MSMEs must focus on quality, quality and quality.
G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant says that the Indian small and medium enterprises sector is on the cusp of a revolution, lays emphasis on quality, says the MSME sector will only thrive if India has a vast number of large companies. Protests by a tribal group in Manipur over a court order on scheduled tribe status turns violent. The state government issues shoot-at-sight orders for extreme cases. Curfew imposed across most districts and mobile internet services are suspended. Russia launches a fresh wave of airstrikes after blaming Ukraine for a drone attack on the Kremlin. Ukraine's President Zelensky visits the International Criminal Court at The Hague and says Vladimir Putin must face justice. Google joins the blue tick bandwagon. Its email services start offering blue check marks to companies and brands, says the feature will help users differentiate legitimate senders from impersonators. It will also be made available to personal Gmail accounts. Also on the show, lack of adequate government-owned cold storages and costlier private units leave Madhya Pradesh farmers more vulnerable to market fluctuations. A special report from rural Madhya Pradesh. Well, the top story this evening, stock markets around the world declined a day after the US Federal Reserve hiked interest rates by 25 basis points. Now, the Fed also signaled that it could potentially hit the pause button at the next policy meeting that's scheduled for June. Now, the federal funds rate in the US is currently above 5%, the highest level since August of 2007. Meanwhile, the European Central Bank raised rates by 25 basis points, slowing the pace of hikes from 50 basis points. The central bank said that the inflation outlook continues to be too high for too long. ECB's rates are now at levels not seen since November of 2008. Here's what the US Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said about the rate hikes.
Since our previous FOMC meeting, economic indicators have generally come in stronger than expected, demonstrating greater momentum in economic activity and inflation. We believe, however, that events in the banking system over the past 2 weeks are likely to result in tighter credit conditions for households and businesses, which would in turn affect economic outcomes. It is too soon to determine the extent of these effects, and therefore too soon to tell how monetary policy should respond. As a result, we no longer state that we anticipate that ongoing rate increases will be appropriate to quell inflation. Instead, we now anticipate that some additional policy firming may be appropriate.
Well, now to some crucial data coming in from the U.S. The initial jobless claim for the week ending April 29th came in at 2.42 lakh. This is an increase of 13,000 from the previous week's revised levels. And well, the last Street turned positive to end at over 4-month highs. Nifty and Sensex gained close to 1%, with the Nifty closing above the 18,200 mark. The Nifty bank line rose in line with blue chips and is now only 1% away from a record high. The HDFC Twins and Reliance were the top contributors to the Nifty in today's session. Well, here's the big corporate story for the day. The National Company Law Tribunal has reserved its orders on a plea filed by the cash-strapped airline Go First. Now, the airline has filed for bankruptcy and is seeking protection under an interim moratorium. Now, aircraft lessors first rejected this petition that has been filed by Go Air. The petition arguing that a moratorium will stop third parties from enforcing their contractual rights. Meanwhile, Go First also cancelled flights till the 9th of May. Meanwhile, aviation regulator DGCA has ordered full refund to all passengers. The CEO of Go First spoke to CNBC-TV18 yesterday and said that bookings have been suspended from the 6th of May to the 15th of May. Go First is blaming its engine supplier Pratt & Whitney of defying a Singapore arbitration order. It is suing the engine maker at a U.S. court in Delaware. Well, let's shift focus now to the earnings corner. India's largest mortgage lender, HDFC, has beaten street estimates in Q4. Its asset quality is the best ever in 4 years, while net interest margins are at a 7-quarter high. Abhishek Kothari now joins us with the key highlights from the HDFC earnings. Abhishek.
Well, it was a strong operational performance coming in from HDFC Limited, with its gross NPA ratio being the lowest in last 18 quarters and the net interest margin being the best in last 7 quarters. So the gross NPA ratio has declined to 1.18% when compared to 1.49% in the previous quarter. This was led by the fact that the non-individual gross NPA declined by almost 100 basis points to 2.9% when compared to 3.9% in the previous quarter. The net interest margin was a 7-quarter high at about 3.6% when compared to 3.5% in the previous quarter. The spreads have remained stable on a sequential basis, that is quarter on quarter, at 2.29%. The AUM growth was on the lower side, coming in at 10.7% YOY and about 3.2% sequentially. The growth in the loan book was impacted by the non-individual portfolio, which declined by 11.55% on a YOY basis and about 4% on a sequential basis. So in terms of their performance in P&L versus our poll, both the ANA and PAT were a beat on our poll. Back to you.
Well, staying with earnings, Hero MotoCorp reported a strong quarter, beating street estimates on all parameters, while net profits soared by 37% on a year-on-year basis. Margins were up 180 basis points to 13%. The auto giant said that they were accelerating their EV rollout. They said that they planned to be in 100 cities by the end of 2023. More action from the auto space. TVS Motors has beaten street's expectation for the fourth quarter. The company's net profit grew by 50% year-on-year, while revenues rose by 20% for the same period. Margins were in line with estimates as higher raw material costs and other expenses compressed growth. FMCG major Dabur India reported a weak set of numbers in the fourth quarter as its margins declined to 15.3%. The company's profit came in at nearly 300 crore rupees, missing street's estimates. However, its revenue was in line with street estimates. G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant has said that the Indian small and medium enterprises sector is on the cusp of a revolution, but added that they must produce top-quality products. Speaking at the HSBC SME Summit, Kant said that the MSME sector will only thrive if India has a vast number of large companies.
I'm a great believer that we are on the cusp of a revolution. We are on the cusp of a revolution because India has to grow at high rates in the next 3 decades. MSMEs must focus on quality, quality, and quality. That's number one. They must make quality products to penetrate global markets. We are not selling in India alone. We are a part of a global value chain. The value you get by exporting and becoming a part of the global value chain is about 7x more than what you will get domestically. So you must make the top class quality products to penetrate global market. PLI was designed that we create large companies. We make things bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger in 5 years' time. And in 5 years' time, make India productively the most efficient economy in the world. And we were giving ourselves 5 years' time to make India more competitive than China is right now. That is the challenge before the country.
Well, a CNBC-TV18 news break has been confirmed. Ola Electric and Ather Energy have announced that they will be reimbursing customers who bought a portable charger to comply with the government's famed subsidy scheme. Ather Energy will refund 95,000 customers to the tune of 140 crore rupees. Ola Electric will refund 1 lakh customers at about 130 crore rupees. Hero Motor and TVS Motor will also make smaller refunds. Once the payments are made, the government will release the subsidies that have been withheld so far. Well, government sources say that they are very close to achieving the 6.4% fiscal deficit target of 6.4. That's for the last fiscal, adding that the shortfall in the mop-up from small saving schemes may not impact the deficit target. The government is likely to announce the FY23 fiscal deficit numbers later this month. Shareholders and creditors of Reliance Industries have approved the resolution to demerge its financial services arm, Reliance Strategic Venture. Nearly 100% votes were cast in favour of the resolution. The demerge unit is set to be renamed as Jio Financial Services. Sonia Shenoy is joining us now with more details. Sonia.
Well, thanks a lot for that. So Reliance shareholders and creditors have passed a resolution for demerger of the financial services arm. The eventual goal is to list the company Jio Financial Services on the BSE as well as NSE. If you remember, last year in October of 2022, the Reliance board had approved the demerger of Jio Financial Services. KV Kamath will be the non-executive chairman of the company, and Reliance shareholders will receive 1 share for the demerged entity for every share of the parent company that they own. Now, Jefferies expects the listing of Jio Financial Services to happen in September. This is a big positive for shareholders because it is unlocking value by the company. Macquarie has pegged the value of the company at 1.52 lakh crores and says that Jio Financial Services post-listing will become the 5th largest financial services firm in India.
Well, standard disclaimer there on your screens. Network 18 and TV18, companies that operate CNBC TV18, are controlled by Independent Media Trust, of which Reliance Industries is the sole beneficiary. On to global earnings now. British oil major Shell beat analyst expectations, posted a record March quarter profits of over $9.6 billion. The company said that robust operation performance and lower costs to run its day-to-day business reflected in better than expected earnings. European automaker Volkswagen beat street estimates in Q1. A rise in sale across the US and Europe offset the slowdown in China. Volkswagen sold nearly 2 million vehicles in Western Europe alone. Its operating profit declined but remained above $6 billion. And luxury vehicle maker BMW has posted a strong set of March quarter. The German automaker's margins came in at 12% for its car segment, beating analysts' estimates. However, group earnings before tax for the company declined to 5.1 billion euros on a year-on-year basis. The result comes just a day after BMW announced a buyback program of 2 billion euros. Pharma giant Moderna reported a better-than-expected March quarter. The company's net income came in at $79 million despite lower demand for COVID-19 vaccines. Meanwhile, its revenue stood at nearly $2 billion, beating Street's estimates. Moderna maintained its full-year guidance of around $5 billion in revenue from the government contracts for its COVID vaccine. Well, with that, it's time now to slip into a very short break. But coming up on the other side, lack of adequate government-owned cold storages and costlier private units leave Madhya Pradesh's farmers more vulnerable to market fluctuations. A special report on the other side.
The new Fiamma Mint Charcoal Soap. Refreshing fun.
Let's you and me step out and see how blue the sky, how tall the trees. Cause forever.
Skoda brings you Kushaq and Slavia, India's safest family cars.
Delivery. There is a large block. I understand in the block deal, the leading private equity investor was a seller. BHEL is buzzing in trade today, and there is an anticipation of a large order coming for BHEL very soon. The promoter entity of Adani Group, I understand from sources, were on the selling side, and a large leading US-based fund was a buyer in today's block. We have confirmation of both. The promoter entities are sold and have raised 15,500 crores by selling stake in the 4 group companies. And the buyer is GQG Partners.
Tune in to NSE Closing Bell as we spot deals before they happen, decode their impact on stock prices, and help you stay ahead of the markets. CNBC-TV18. Follow the leader.
Welcome back. Here's the big national story today. The Supreme Court has closed proceedings on the petition filed by female wrestlers against Federation Chief and BJP MP Brij Bhushan Singh. Now, the Supreme Court has said that the FIRs have already been filed against Singh on allegations of sexual harassment, and hence the purpose of these petitions has already been served. Wrestlers, however, say that the order is not a setback and that they would continue to protest till Singh is arrested. A scuffle, meanwhile, had broken out between the police and wrestlers last night. Protesters alleged that they were assaulted by drunk policemen for wanting to bring folded beds to the protest site after heavy rains lashed the national capital. Delhi police has denied these charges. Heavy security has been deployed at Jantar Mantar and the area has been cordoned off. Shivani Bazaz gets us the latest.
On day 12 of wrestlers' protest in Delhi, the latest is that the Supreme Court has closed the proceedings in this case filed by the wrestlers. The court observed that the FIR had already been registered and the complainants have been given adequate security.
Supreme Court ने जो अभी तक जो किया है हम उसके हमेशा तहे दिल से शुक्रगुजार रहेंगे क्योंकि 6 दिन तक तो पुलिस ने FIR भी दर्ज नहीं किया था। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जब आदेश दिया तब FIR हमारी दर्ज हुई है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो भी आदेश दिया है उसका हम पालन करेंगे। जल्दी से जल्दी नहीं होता है तो हमारे पास हर रास्ता ओपन है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये भी आदेश दिया है कि आप दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट में जा सकते हो या आप मजिस्ट्रेट के पास में जा सकते हो, तो हम वहाँ पे भी जा सकते हैं अगर कार्रवाई जल्दी नहीं हुई तो।
मैं जो बयान दिया हम अपने बयान पे कायम है और जब तक हम ये लड़ाई लड़ेंगे, अगर जब ये लगेगा कि भाई हाँ कुछ नहीं हो रहा, हम अपने मेडल सरकार को जो सरकार ने हमें दिया हम वापस दे देंगे।
As you can see behind me, the wrestlers' protest in Delhi has aggravated since yesterday after a scuffle broke out between the wrestlers and the Delhi police late last night. According to reports, the scuffle took place when the wrestlers were trying to bring in extra mattresses and benches to the protest site, and Aam Aadmi Party MLA Somnath Bharti also tried to bring in some folding cots, but the police did not give permission to either Bharti or the wrestlers. The protesting wrestlers allege that the policemen misbehaved and abused the women wrestlers. Some of the wrestlers claim that they have been injured also. Police have called the incident a minor altercation which took place between Somnath Bharti while he was bringing extra bedding without the permission. The wrestlers have said that if they are going to be treated like this, they've urged the government to take away all their honors and medals. Celebrated Indian wrestler Vinesh Phogat broke down while talking to the media this morning. The wrestlers' protest has been going on for 12 days, as you know, and they've been demanding the arrest of WFI chief and BJP MP Brij Bhushan Singh in the multiple cases of sexual harassment filed against him. In Delhi's Jantar Mantar with Vijay Akhilesh Singh, this is Shivani Bajaj for CNBC-TV18.
Foreign ministers are in Goa for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meet. Minister Jaishankar held talks with his Russian and Chinese counterparts on a range of issues. Protests by a tribal group over a court order on scheduled tribe status turned violent in Manipur. The Indian Army held a flag march in violence-hit areas. The state government has issued shoot-at-sight orders for extreme cases. Clashes broke out yesterday during a protest rally against scheduled tribe status being granted to the Metis community. An Indian Army helicopter crashed in Jammu and Kashmir's Kishtwar district, injuring 3 personnel, including 2 pilots. As per an Army statement, the pilot was attempting to precautionarily landing after reporting a technical fault. But the ALH Dhruv helicopter crashed due to the unprepared landing area. A court of inquiry has been ordered in the matter. Russia launched a fresh wave of airstrikes after blaming Ukraine for a drone attack on the Kremlin. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Zelensky visited the International Criminal Court at The Hague and said that Vladimir Putin must face justice. Well, farmers in Madhya Pradesh are struggling for survival. This is either because of unseasonal rainfall that has damaged crops or a bumper crop that has sent market prices crashing. But this means that over 70% of the state's population has taken a hit because the state government figures say that they are engaged either directly or indirectly in agricultural activities. Now, as a part of our ongoing series, What's Ailing Rural India, CNBC-TV18 Santya Gora reports that many farmers blame poor agri-infrastructure for a lot of their problems. Take a look.
This cold storage facility in Bhopal is one of 6 in the area. It is privately owned and managed like 4 others in the region. The only government-owned facility in the region is dedicated to dairy products. So even though using the government-run facility would cost a farmer 40 to 50% less than a private facility, not many farmers can avail the services. This means many vegetable and fruit farmers have to transport their produce long distances to delay spoiling. This poor infrastructure is a problem for farmers across the state, especially when farmers are dealing with crop damage and crashing market prices.
According to the Madhya Pradesh government, there are 250 cold storages in the state, out of which only 5 belong to the state government. That's just 2% of the overall cold storages in the state. This shortage of cold storages, a crucial agri-infrastructure, makes the farmers of the state more vulnerable to market fluctuations. And at times of market price crash of various crops, this lack of affordable storage options pushes the farmers towards distress sale.
The worst hit are the marginal farmers who own a maximum of 1 hectare of land and make up 48% of the state's farming community, and small farmers who own between 1 and 2 hectares of land and account for 28% of this community. Then there are landless farmers like 40-year-old Dinesh Shaharia of Eatkhedi village in Bhopal. Under the state's Bhatia system, he farms the land of a large farmer, paying out of pocket for seeds, pesticides, fertilizers, transport and labor. He has to share 1/2 of either his sale proceeds or his profits with his landlord, depending on the landlord's whims. In these circumstances, Dinesh cannot afford to store his crop in a private cold storage facility. So he has only one option during adverse market conditions, a distress sale.
कोल्ड स्टोर में हो गए हैं 20 रुपये 1 कट्टी के, उतारने के हो गए हैं 10 रुपये, टोटल हो गए हैं 30 रुपये। फिर लेने जाएंगे जब 10 रुपये बढ़ेंगे हम माल के, अब वहाँ से लान के बोरियाँ ख़राब हो जाती हैं तो वो बोरियाँ 15 रुपए की जो बोरी खरीदो, फिर उसमें डालो, फिर किराए से लाओ 30 रुपये। जैसे 10 कट्टी की है मंडी तो 10 कट्टी के 300 उन्हें दो, फिर उसमें से 8 में से वो दुकान में जिसकी दुकान पे जाएगी गाजर तो दूसरा हम माल लेगा 10 रुपये कट्टी।
Even large farmers say poor agri-infrastructure is a big problem. Given the near absence of government-run facilities within a reasonable distance, only the significantly more expensive private facilities are available. 70-year-old Mansi Mali says he stopped using cold storage facilities over 10 years ago.
प्राइवेट में तो नहीं रख सकते और सरकारी है नहीं है, सरकारी में पैसे कम लगेगा और हम इसमें प्राइवेट में रखेंगे तो हमारा खर्चा ज़्यादा बढ़ जाएगा और प्राइवेट में पैसे मर्जी माँ बाप के पैसे लेते हैं वो तो।
The centre and the state government have implemented schemes to ramp up cold storage and agri-infra facilities in the state, but many of these facilities are either being built under the public-private partnership model or are being built and managed by private entities and cooperatives with the help of government grants, meaning usage costs may not come down. So farmers are likely to remain dependent on market forces and measures like minimum support prices and market intervention schemes to keep their livelihoods going. In Bhopal, Santiagora.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you so much for watching. News and updates continue right here on CNBC-TV18.